Dear Quentin, my wife and I are in our 60s and have been happily married for over 30 years. Recently, we decided we needed to polish up our will and are doing it with an online service. We have always been on the same page about most everything in life. Our will should have been routine, and it was until just one item. It is a no-brainer that we would leave our entire estate in equal percentages to our children if something should happen to us. Cashing everything out today would total about $3 million. What happens if all of us are in a horrible accident and none of our immediate family survive? My wife put in her will that our estate should be equally divided among hers and my sibling. She has more than twice the siblings than me, so 3/4 of our estate would go to her side of the family. Well, she has more than twice the siblings than me, so 3/4 of our estate would go to her side of the family. This just doesn't sit well with me, as I think it should be a 50-50th split. I get it that my siblings would individually receive more than twice the amount than hers, but I still think the 50-50th split is the right thing to do. We have never had any money issues between us, but this has really come out of left field and is quite sensitive. I haven't signed mine yet and am having a hard time bringing this up with her. I don't want to have an argument over something that most likely will never happen. Should I just sign and be done with this, since the chances of this ever playing out are extremely remote? Wanting to do the right thing. Dear Wanting, it is very unlikely scenario that your entire family would end up perishing in an accident, but you're correct to account for all scenarios, given the amount involved. For that reason, it's unfortunate that you have reached an impasse over this issue. You obviously love your siblings and want to make sure they receive equal shares. Distribute those shares from your respective halves of your joint estate. That is, $1.5 million goes to your siblings and the same for your wife. It's the most equitable solution, but it may not be the smartest solution for a happy life. It's better to have a happy life than risk it for principled, highly unlikely death. If you're going to give up ground, let it be for this. If this disagreement concerned guardianship of your children, that would be a different matter entire. Making a joint will can bring up a host of unforeseen consequences. One other point that is alluded to in your letter, you talk about will rather than wills. Making a joint will can bring up a host of unforeseen consequences. Assuming one of you dies first, you will likely have to make a subsequent will, and a joint will that prohibits changes if one spouse dies would complicate that. You may face a new set of unforeseen circumstances, from educating grandchildren or setting up a trust for an adult child to a second marriage. Some states don't even recognize them, so if you end up moving to another state, a joint will may become invalid, according to the law offices of John Mangan. Even in states that do permit a joint will, they are challenged much more often, which may result in your final wishes not being honored, the law firm adds. Ultimately, your predicament is a luxury one. You have enough money for retirement, and will likely have plenty to leave your children. Stay safe and healthy, and Happy New Year. You can email The Moneyist with any financial and ethical questions related to coronavirus at kfottrell@marketwatch.com, and follow Quentin Fottrell on Twitter. Check out The Moneyist private Facebook group, where we look for answers to life's thorniest money issues. Readers write in to me with all sorts of dilemmas. Post your questions, tell me what you want to know more about, or weigh in on the latest Moneyist column. The Moneyist regrets he cannot reply to questions individually. More from Quentin Fottrell. Our friends always yearned for a relationship like ours. My husband of 16 years left me for another man. I don't want them to live in our property. What can I do? She trusts me completely. My sister offered to pay off my credit card bill. I'll repay her over the next 4 years. Am I taking advantage of our relationship? He is the most computer illiterate person I know. I was my husband's research analyst, caregiver, cook and housekeeper. Now he wants a divorce after 38 years.